I think people need to plan stories in their content actually. And just like, when I would speak, I'd plan jokes because over doing it 100 and something times, you learn some fall flat and some work. So you just tell the same ones over again. And sometimes you improvise for sure, but you should plan stories in your content because that's going to increase your viewer retention because they're relatable and it makes things real. And that's when people will pay attention.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Woon.
I'm Toni Singh.
And welcome to our podcast in the house. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about our guest, Eric Preston?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We obviously have coffee in us.
I'm drinking coffee right now.
It's 10:15 p.m. I just got back from jiu-jitsu and I haven't been in 3 years, so I'm pretty fired up.
Well, thanks for coming on. It's early for us. It's in the afternoon. So where are you located?
I am located in Lisbon, Portugal.
Wow. What are you doing there?
Making YouTube videos, talking to realtors.
See, that's the life we need to have.
Are you living there right now or you're vacationing? Is that your main hub?
So, yeah, I was kind of doing the digital nomad thing. And I think that's when I talked to you that while ago when I was living in Croatia. And then I was kind of moving around and spent a year and a half in Mexico and wanted to be somewhere a little more permanently. So Portugal ticked a lot of boxes. So here we are. I've only been here 4 months, but liking it so far.
Wow.
Lisbon is really fun.
I've never been.
Been a couple times myself. So Eric, we wanted to have you on. You're the founder of Agent Launch. And after just setting up, just kind of realized that you know Toni and you know our producer.
That's true. Right? Yeah. He was a client of ours at the first, how I got into this industry, working at Avenue.
Okay, let's get into that. But before we get started, what is your superpower? We ask that with every one of our guests who come on.
It's funny you ask that because as a founder, you wear a lot of hats and you have to really learn that. And over time, I think you gravitate towards what you're best at. And I would still say today it's sales, believe it or not. That's the place I tend to, I've tried to get myself out of sales in my own company and that's probably been the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I realize I just have to be in it and that's okay.
Probably because no one can do it as good as you. So that is your superpower.
It's probably true, but I think it's partly when you're the face of the business, it's always easier to be that point of contact to people. So, but yeah, I'm okay with it these days.
We talked a little bit about it. You're nomadic. You're doing online digital creation from Lisbon, Portugal. Share with us a little bit more about your background because we all know you actually from, I guess, your days in Vancouver ages and ages ago, but share with the listeners so they know.
Yeah. So going back to how I know Chofa actually was we bartended together. We opened Nightingale in Vancouver. That's how we met. And that was at a time where I was looking to kind of get out of that world and get into, more of a career, I would say. And that's when Avenue came along. And so I like to call it was the best interview of my life. It was just everything kind of clicked. And I was super excited to join. Avenue as a real estate marketing agency in Vancouver who do very different things that we do today. So I worked there for 2 years and I was very close with the founders and I was given an opportunity by them to take over the COO/founders role of going out to real estate brokerages and presenting on how to run Facebook ads. So this was in end of 2017, I think. And so she was like, I want you to just take this and run with it. And I was in sales there. And so I did. I just ran with it and I ended up doing like 110 in-person like on stage speaking spots around North America for realtors on how to run Facebook ads. And I got good at that. And then I became an agent and kind of went with my Yashu, who was another guy who worked at Avenue. And we kind of started selling homes together. And then a lot of people in our brokerage just started asking us what we were doing because we were running Google ads, we were running Facebook ads and doing a lot of this online stuff. And so we started helping them and that turned into us creating some courses and getting into the digital marketing game. And so we ran some courses for quite a while. I think we did, I won't get into the numbers, but we did pretty well with that. And then what I found out after was there's a lot of people who were struggling to like really do it themselves at a high level. And they just kept asking me to do it for them. So She didn't really want to start an agency. And I was kind of like in that phase where I'm like, I really want to start a real business. And so I did. And that's how Agent Launch was born, is out of the need for me to do this for them. And that just evolved over time to solve more problems around the lead generation. Because as you guys know, it takes more than just leads. It takes systems and sales and a whole lot of content and trust building and a whole lot more. And that's kind of where Agent Launch is today.
Mm-hmm. And so, we wanted to touch on what does Agent Launch really truly do for agents? Is it a community base? I actually was invited to speak on personal branding. Thank you to Chofa. And I logged on, and now there's emails coming in about a subscription base. So just actually backing up, you're no longer licensed in BC, is that correct?
I still am, actually.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
Honestly, not really. I don't think I like being an agent that much. I'm really like a stay-at-home person. Like I like the digital world a lot more. And so when I started Agent Launch, I actually left the country 3 months later. So I built the whole business out of a suitcase.
Great. That's ideally. I got to talk to you about coaching, like online coaching offerings after this. Yeah. What does the Agent Launch look like today?
So our goal is to really be the go-to real estate platform for education, real estate education. So our service, so we have like a more of a high ticket done for you service. And we just launched our paid community, which is more do it yourself with some supporting resources. But our goal is to solve the end-to-end problem of lead gen. So it's not just about generating leads, because you can go get any cheap $300-$400 a month service to generate leads. And most of the time, people aren't happy with those services. So our goal was to build something that was going to do this at a much higher level, but also solve all the problems that come after. So we do Google advertising, retargeting, Google local service ads. We help with Google My Business. We help set up Facebook and Instagram ads. We do retargeting for that. We even build landing pages for our clients for specific funnels like new construction. We have our own seller landing page. And then we feed that into a system that we build in their CRM for them to keep them accountable and on track. So it's a task-based workflow that keeps them on track of the leads. And we really frame it as a long game. So we have monthly meetings with our clients to go over all their numbers because the long game is really where the money's made. And so we want to build the system because most people struggle to do that. And then we coach on it as well. So we have one-to-one accountability with an account manager. We have weekly coaching where we're helping them ask the right questions, say the right things, make the right videos. And we use a lot of personalization in the sales process because the reality is most leads are on multiple websites getting prospected by multiple agents. And how do you become, for the Matrix term I love, the chosen one? And because that's really what it is like, why are they going to choose you? Well, if you're sending them helpful, personalized videos, and for some of our clients that want to do YouTube, which I know we're going to talk about today, layering in some value add YouTube videos, like it can be that simple. And so we really just focus on generating good leads, building a system to work them, and leveraging video to build trust with them in a meaningful way.
Awesome. Actually, that's a perfect segue into the YouTube information. So why did you start optimizing content on YouTube specifically?
For Agent Launch?
Yeah.
So essentially I got really good at like delivering a advertising tutorial at Avenue, right? So I had this presentation, I'd done it like 100 and between in-person and webinars, I had done it like 150 times. So when I started our coaching program or our marketing coaching program, our courses, I just started making tutorials for YouTube. And I like YouTube, so I use it. And that's something I always talk to people about is like, if you're going to really go all in on a platform, go all in on the ones you really use, you know? And I love YouTube. So I'm a big YouTube fan. I consume it all the time. So I just started making it. And I feel like there's a bigger barrier to entry for a lot of people. And that's the mindset I help them get over. But, you know, everyone's doing Instagram, but very few people are doing YouTube. And so I feel like there's a big opportunity there and just went for it. And I made some pretty crappy videos and they did really well. And then that was the good sign that I was on the right track. So I just started investing more and more with it over time.
And sharing with our agents, we brought you on specifically. I know that on your YouTube channel, you cover quite an array of different topics to help generate leads for agents, but specifically regarding video marketing for agents, how to be the local agent. What are some key strategies that you would give to the agents to be able to leverage YouTube to effectively bring in leads?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the biggest thing is to accept that you're going to suck at first and be consistent, because most people give up on YouTube. And I know this from coaching hundreds of agents over a few years now. Most people give up, and you have to play the long game. You have to be coming from a place of offering value, being a community ambassador, teaching, and being a personality, being authentic, I think is really, really big. What I think happened in 2023 is a lot of people over-automated their business. And where people are gravitating towards these days is someone they have that personal connection with, and someone who's authentic, their authentic self. And you're not going to appeal to everyone, but the reality is you're going to get a lot more people by just being you. And so as long as you're a community ambassador, you're offering value, you're being consistent, and you're learning, like you're being a student. That's why I always say it's good to have a coach, because the people that are successful with YouTube, they swear by it. And I mean, I'm a living example of that. YouTube's been a life changer for me, to be honest.
So, Eric, how important is using video content in real estate today? And what types of videos are you noticing that perform best for agents that are looking to establish themselves as a local expert?
Well, I think video is extremely important. I think that everybody knows it, but I also think on the flip side, you don't have to do it. There's a lot of successful people out there who don't leverage video. And I think we should acknowledge that, because I say this to people all the time, like, it's better to not have an Instagram than to have 3 posts on it from 2 years ago. It's better to not do something than to do it really poorly. And so I think it's extremely important. Was the second part of that what types of videos?
Well, yeah. For what types of videos are you noticing that tend to perform the best for the agents you're working with?
Generally, the best videos are the ones that appeal to people relocating. You'll hear most YouTubers talk about this, is like the type of person that's searching what's it like to live in Vancouver generally don't live there. So it's always a mix for sure, but if you can be that first point of contact for someone when they're thinking of relocating, and generally speaking, you have them, you're their person, they're thinking about you, and when they're ready, they've already decided, you're going to be the person they reach out to. Because the types of things, if you look at a lot of agents' channels, one of the biggest videos you'll always see is pros and cons of living in Vancouver. A pros and cons video, it doesn't matter how creative we get, that's always the number one video. So you guys probably aren't searching pros and cons of living in Vancouver because you live there.
Yeah, that's true.
But people relocating there are. And so that's generally some of the more successful videos for at least generating new eyeballs. There's a whole series of videos that are different, that are more for nurturing the existing eyeballs that you have. And I think those are being boots on the ground in your community, showcasing properties. Because the longer I do real estate marketing, the more simple it becomes. It's sellers care what things are selling for, and buyers care what they can get for their money. And if we just facilitate that process, sellers always love to hear what their home's worth and how to make it more valuable. So help them with that, show them some cool things. And I always say show rather than tell. If you can walk around a house and talk about upgrades you made for a client and how that impacted the value, that's going to go a lot farther than saying, here's 10 things you can do to increase the value of your home. And if you just walk around it, film yourself doing that, and show what you've done, that's really powerful. So I think the show versus tell is really, really big right now.
You remember when we were interviewing REW? And so they focused all the little different areas. Did you follow REW the last year, last 12 months? They released about 12 to 14 episodes showcasing all these agents in different locations in the neighborhood. And they're maximizing, they have over 2 million was 2 million or 2 million views.
Yeah, it was significant. And it wasn't on for that long at the time.
Right, yeah. And I think they created like long form videos ranging maybe up to 15 minutes and then clip it down into mini short versions on YouTube. And that's where YouTube was the platform that they thought was the best to be able to get all those eyes on those videos. So it was really helpful. So we're on the same page. And you were mentioning, you said you were you found YouTube to be very successful for you. How did you gauge success? Because I think your discussion about long-term being consistent, there's that point where some agents will give up give up at some point because at 10 videos, they don't see the conversion. So how did you gauge success?
Yeah, that's why I say like you got to have some thick skin and accept that you're going to put a lot of energy into stuff and it's not going to go anywhere probably for a while. Sometimes it does, but that's not the norm for sure. Like I've had clients who they take off really quick because for a variety of reasons. But generally gauging success is like, are you creating an engaged audience? Really, it's not all about subscribers. It's not all about views. Those are just leading indicators that you're doing the right thing. Are you getting people actually reaching out to you? Are they commenting? Are they subscribing? Are they coming back for more? Like a lot of agents make the fatal flaw of doing like the whole subscribe and like this video and share it with your friends and leave a comment. And they get obsessed with that. And that just takes all the authenticity away of your video, especially when you put it up front. So when you want to gauge success, you really want to look at viewer retention. Like click-through rate and viewer retention are the two biggest metrics you need to focus on, and we can dive deeper into that. But are people actually clicking on your video and then actually watching it? That's the only thing that really matters. Like people will subscribe. This is my philosophy. People will only subscribe if they think you're going to put out something in the future that they want to see.
Okay.
They don't generally subscribe because you ask them to. Sometimes that works as a reminder for them, for sure. But they don't subscribe because you ask them to. They will only subscribe if they think you're going to put something out of value in the future. And so subscribers can definitely be a meaningful metric, but I think viewer retention is really what you want to focus on, because that's how you're going to get your videos to rank. That's how you're going to get more exposure. Because if you think about it from the ground level, YouTube is an advertising platform. You post content there so that they can run ads to you. That's how Google makes like 95% of their money. So if you're making content that keeps people on the platform longer, they can run more ads, they make more money, everybody's happy. So if you focus on that, and trust me, I've given a lot of money to Google, they will prioritize your videos.
Okay. Eric, what about for real estate agents that are new to YouTube? They're looking to get started. Are there any practical tips that you might be able to offer them for optimizing and creating their channel to increase visibility and attract leads?
Yeah, there's a few things I'd say. R&D, research and duplicate. Look what's working for other people. Put your own twist on it, but don't get too cute in the beginning. I think that it's like you want to do the obvious things for an extended period of time. Yeah, that's what I would say is you can get a lot done with a little R&D, I would say. Okay. Don't start from scratch, learn from what other people have done. What I usually say is find like 2 or 3 people you look up to on YouTube, maybe in different markets, and try to take some of their successes and make it your own in your own unique way. But if you are getting started, I would say this, and I say this to everyone, pick 1 or 2 platforms, go all in on those. Don't try to be everywhere. That's not, like most people they compare their first quarter to someone's fourth quarter. And they see someone else's fourth quarter and they're like, oh, they're big on YouTube and they're big on Instagram and they're big on TikTok and they're big over here. And they start going to try to do everything. It's like the myth that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. I'm like, yeah, but they didn't get there by having 7 streams of income. They probably had one that really worked out and now they've diversified. It's the same idea. So if you really want to do YouTube, go all in on YouTube, but have a supporting platform. Like one of my clients, Linnea, does this really well. YouTube helps her get new eyeballs. Instagram, so she gets new visibility. Instagram's how she converts them. A lot of her content on Instagram is how she builds the relationship. YouTube's how she brings them into her ecosystem. So just understand that, get laser focused, get a coach, learn from other people. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, and be consistent. Like you have to be consistent. And I'm not saying you have to be consistent to get views. You have to make good videos to get views. You don't have to be consistent to get views, actually. I started a new YouTube channel and my first video got 150,000 views. That's an aside. And it was a pretty crappy video. But like, you don't need to post regularly to get views, but you need to be consistent to build an effective channel. Because most people, YouTube's at the bottom of their list and everything else takes priority. It needs to go up in priority of your list. And so, like at Agent Launch, we're really serious about this now. And it honestly took me years because I was living the digital nomad life. I never had a studio. Now I finally do. And I went through periods of inconsistency. I think everybody does. But now we're getting really serious and we've built a marketing team around it. And we're putting out 3 videos a week. And we have a whole process around it now. But I would just recommend, I mean, you don't have to get there right away, but commit to 1 video a week, batch record. You can do 2 videos in a session, do it twice a month, get an editor. Don't edit yourself because you're not a good editor, probably, if you're watching this, and neither am I. It's going to suck your energy. It's going to make you not create videos because you're going to be focused on how much work's going to go into the edit. You're not going to be happy with the end product. Find an editor with YouTube experience, learn from other people, and streamline the flow. And invest in some okay equipment. You can honestly make a YouTube channel with your iPhone and like a DJI mic. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm. That was, one of the questions later on. I was going to ask you about if they're not skillful at editing, they're not skillful at, I can put together a video. I don't know what to do with it after. So I have hired my own editor, but those who can't afford a person on salary, where would you say they should be trying to find this type of talent?
So there's a few options. There's services out there, like VidChops or like that subscription service for like a monthly subscription where you get like 2 or 3 videos a month. That's a pretty easy one. You can also find someone on Upwork or Fiverr. My only advice is like, you're not in a position to train someone how to edit for YouTube. Yeah, I made this mistake myself. I was like, I'm going to teach them how I want my videos edited. Terrible idea. And so I spent all this time going back and forth with editors trying to be like, I want this box to look like this and this. And I'm like, I don't know how to communicate with these people. That was a hard lesson I had to learn. And so find someone, one, with YouTube experience and watch some of their videos and work with someone whose videos you like, and then show and don't tell. Say, hey, this guy, Eric Preston, I like the way they edit. Can you edit like this? Like find someone you like and their style and show them and say, I want this. Don't try to tell them all the little details of what you want. That would be my advice.
Okay.
And that's coming from me making these mistakes.
Thanks for sharing that. Could you discuss the role of storytelling in real estate videos and how agents can effectively use that storytelling to connect with their audience and build trust? We've heard a lot about this recently. It's a very interesting topic.
Well, I think if you've ever spoken on a stage, you'll notice something really interesting, which is, and by the way, YouTube is a stage. Like, I swear to you that just because you're on YouTube, people think you know what you're talking about. And it's like, just because you're on a stage, you can walk up on a stage, you can talk about something, and people are like, this person must know what they're talking about. They're on a stage. But essentially, stories, when you're on a stage and you can really like gauge the reaction of the audience. Something I learned from doing this a lot is that the second you tell a story, people's ears perk up and they start listening. And it's really interesting when you pay attention to it. Because a lot of times when you're on stage and, I've spoken upwards of in front of 200 people, you'll see some people are on their phones, some people are really engaged. And you kind of, the hardest thing for me going from doing that to staring into a camera like I am now is you have no feedback when you're filming a YouTube video. You're not, even a webinar, you're not getting any feedback from the audience. You're just trying to maintain your energy to this inanimate object. And so storytelling is essential today. It's not optional. It is essential. If you want to create a video that's going to hook people in, the formula is hook story framework. Hook them in with an engaging hook of sorts, like a question. Tell a story to emphasize the point and then give them a framework of what that story means. that they can use. So I think people need to plan stories in their content, actually. And just like, when I would speak, I'd plan jokes, because over doing it 100 and something times, you learn some fall flat and some work. So you just tell the same ones over again. And sometimes you improvise for sure, but you should plan stories in your content, because that's going to increase your viewer retention, because they're relatable and it makes things real. And that's when people will pay attention.
And so what if there is someone who, I don't know, I kind of feel like I always see the same type of content, like tax. There's a new tax rule or regulation that comes
boring,
out.
Though.
Interest rates and the content over and over again are not very original. So how can agents get more creative and authentic, I guess? Like, authentic is so overused. I don't really know if people know how to be authentic anymore. That
So it's
question
a good,
making sense?
it does.
It's a good point. Well, I think a story is how you can make something boring interesting. Like, you could take a tax code and be like, for example, I have this client and this is really going to affect them because they just bought a house here, whatever. And tell that story about that client and make it personal. I think stories can really take boring things and make them a little more interesting.
That's true.
When you were an agent, what was your most viewed topic?
I actually didn't do YouTube when I was an agent.
You were still doing the Google and Facebook ads?
Yeah, we were doing paid ads for sure, yeah. So I actually started that when I was teaching agents. Yeah. So you can go watch my very first video. I always encourage people to do this. It's actually really fun. If you look up to anyone on YouTube, go all the way to the bottom of their channel and watch their first video. It's really funny, because mine are
it is funny.
Mine are terrible, but everyone's are terrible. And you'll be like, whoa. Because people always say, like, I was on a coaching call with our clients this week, and we were talking about bomb videos and personalized videos. And I just said, here's how I would probably go about it. And I just riffed this like 45-second thing. And he's like, did you just make that up on the spot? I was like, yeah. And he was like, he felt defeated. And I was like, well, man, I wasn't born like that. Like, I've just done this a lot, And I think and that's not boasting or anything. Just, I think when you go back to someone's channel, you see how bad they were. And it's humbling, because it's like, oh, they started somewhere too. I think people always like to convince themselves that you were born in a special way or something, Yeah, go ahead.
Jenny just hit me behind the scenes here. And I think she was thinking, gosh, Toni, we have our very first podcast session ever up on YouTube. I was pregnant, nauseous, had an eye infection, and no makeup. That's our first YouTube video for In the House. It was brutal.
Such a good sport.
That's funny.
And we were not in a professional studio like this. And we were reading. Like, we were like literally, well, I made her read.
You made me read.
We were like line by line, because we were so new and we were so nervous.
I was so stressed out. I'm like, I can't read all of this. It's too much.
At least we can laugh about it. It's like 178 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Here
Congratulations.
we are,
That's huge.
Thank you.
4 years later. Right?
Yeah, it's 4 years. 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's consistency. If you do the obvious thing, like, over a long enough time horizon, you will get there. And I think most people just give up. I think the average podcast doesn't get past, or something like 90-some% of podcasts don't get past like episode 9 or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
it's like,
wow, we're doing so good.
Yeah.
You made me do it.
And I would say YouTube channels are the same. There's so many people's channels I look at and they're like, oh, I made 6 videos and it didn't work. I'm like, okay.
Aww.
Right.
It's opportunity.
Yeah, that's why I asked 10. Like, I should bring it down to 6.
Eric, I think you answered this already, but just for clarity for me, with YouTube specifically, what are the 2 metrics that real estate agents should pay attention to? So for something like Instagram, we were talking about, the viewer retention. For YouTube, are there different metrics that one would look at to consider success, or is it something else? Like different than Instagram, I guess.
I mean, there's hundreds, but the most important, if I can say it without using metrics to talk about it, is get people to click on your videos and then get people to stay. And how you measure that is the click-through rate and the viewer retention. And so those are the two metrics. Now, click-through rate is TNT, titles and thumbnails. The amount of people that I work with that put hours and hours and hours into the video and then they just quickly whip up a thumbnail and a title is incredible. And so I always I'm like really pushing this on people all the time. Like you want to spend almost half the time on the title and thumbnail. Like Mr. Beast, I don't know the exact number, but big YouTubers are testing like 50, 60 thumbnails. And they're changing them like every hour when they launch a video to see what's getting the best click-through rate.
I did not know that.
And because your video, like we have a tool now that pulls up all of our competitors and we look at all of our competitors on a given subject when we're making our thumbnails. And so we want to make sure that our thumbnail is going to stand out amongst the top like 5. And so a lot of people, may not have the resources for this, but like thumbnails and titles should not be rushed. A lot of times people don't title case their thumbnails or they reverse the order. And I've worked on my team around this. I'm trying to think of the last video I launched, but it's like you want to put the key keywords at the front. So like, I think it was the truth about hot leads, like real estate lead generation was the video. And I was like, we got to switch that. It's like real estate leads, the truth about hot leads, like put the main keywords at the front, colon or dash, and then have a big emphasis word, like capitalize one emphasis word. And that's why your title will stand out. And it almost seems a little like almost clickbaity to some people at first, but that's YouTube. Like you have to get over that because the contrast of your letters, the shadow of your letters, they got to pop. You got to have some colors that stand out amongst other thumbnails. You can't use too much dark. Things have to be bright. You need a big photo of your face with a relevant expression that's going to like
a lot.
Well, sometimes our thumbnails are like this big. Your head's this
we
big on
we
it.
clearly don't put a lot of thought into our thumbnails.
No, we do. We do.
Not as much as him.
Not as much as him, but I'm just saying sometimes our thumbnails has our big head right in the center. I'm like, why did you choose that to stick as our thumbnail?
Generally, what the biggest YouTubers are doing is like one person, relevant expression. Every thumbnail has to be different. Less than 3 words, big words. They got to compliment. They got to compliment the title and not give away the video. They have to create intrigue that people want to click. Okay. So it's a very delicate dance, and it's not easy. And I don't say this like I've figured it all out because we're still working on it. We still have thumbnails that totally flop, and we recreate them, and we have some that do really well. And so it's not an exact science. It's like a constant battle. But the thing I have to just emphasize is that you cannot underemphasize your thumbnails, that they have to be prioritized. Titles too. To just go a little bit deeper on that, because this is really important, 5% and up is a good click-through rate. Some of our best videos, but click-through rate as a percentage. So what it means is 5% click-through rate means YouTube showed your thumbnail or your video on the explore screen or on the search screen or on the related videos 100 times and 5 people clicked. That's a 5% click-through rate. So our best thumbnail is like 14%, but it's in a less competitive search. So like the numbers aren't pure. It's not like some of my best videos ever have like a 4% click-through rate, but highly competitive search. Mm-hmm. So it's not an exact science, even the numbers. So I think Jeff Bezos said this, but it's like data isn't pure. Anecdotal evidence means actually a lot. And like the data, sometimes you have to question the data because it's not perfect. It doesn't tell the whole story. We aim for a 5% plus click-through rate. If we get close to 10, that's really good. And that's a leading indicator that your video might be doing well. But you can still get a good click-through rate and have a bad viewer retention. So a lot of people click on your thumbnail because your title and thumbnail is really good, but your hook wasn't good and you didn't keep them in the video. YouTube's going to derank it. So,
wow, that's so complicated.
Wait, okay. So to clarify, click-through is they're clicking your video and then they're clicking to your website. Is that the click-through that we're measuring?
No, they're clicking on the thumbnail that's shown on YouTube. So you know how there's three places your video shows up on YouTube. There's the explore page, which is the YouTube homepage. So that's going to show you recommended videos based on your search history.
Mm-hmm.
The second place is in a search result. So when you actually search for something, you're going to get in the list. And the third place is in a recommended video list, which is beside the video you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
When you click on any of those thumbnails, it's just going to take you to the video.
I'm going to ask this question anyhow. It's not to put you on the spot. But you know what's really confusing? Because I also consume YouTube occasionally as well. Probably not as much as you. You like the platform. What about shorts? These things called shorts on YouTube, does it complicate things or are they not like... Would you say that if you still had to focus releasing videos through your own YouTube channel just as a regular video would perform better than a short? Or does it matter?
So I haven't 100%, I'm not 100% sold on shorts yet. One thing I notice a lot of people doing with shorts is they can still get a crazy amount of views like TikTok and Instagram Reels, but they put a link to a long form video in the short. You might have noticed that. And you can click on that link. So they can be used to drive traffic to your long form videos. But like YouTube is a long form platform. There's no doubt about it. So long form is still king. I think shorts are interesting, but it's like every platform's kind of doing shorts now. It's like even X has that now. It's like, because we did some shorts for a while and some of them got some decent amount of views, but like we didn't get anything from that. Like I don't think they really generated subscribers. I don't think they really generated the attention that we're going for. So I at least for us, we haven't really cracked that yet.
The shorts have actually never gotten me to subscribe to a channel. It's interesting, but normally when I subscribe as a consumer, it's because the video has really interesting tidbits all the way through it. And you're exactly right. When I've hit subscribe, it's because I don't want to miss future content that I think could be valuable.
Yeah, and here's how I would describe YouTube. Like the reason YouTube is so powerful is because it's a search engine. People are searching for information and you're providing them that information. So we call that search intent, meaning people have made a conscious decision to go on the internet, open YouTube and look for something, look for an answer, and you get to provide them that. Shorts is something you do when you're bored. So it's a totally different, like the person who's consuming it is in a totally different headspace, if that makes sense. Then if they're seeking, like why I've always loved it is you go to YouTube to learn. You go to learn something or watch something that you that's relevant to you. And shorts is kind of like you're not going there to learn or anything. You're just killing time, really. So I'm not 100% sold on it yet.
Would you say that agents should pay to have sponsored ad to their video as a sponsored ad on YouTube?
That I'm not a big fan of. Most people I know who've done it, like it doesn't really get them much. I would say YouTube is best used as make your videos for an organic audience and optimize around that. I don't think it's good to inflate your views with ads because most people I know that do that, their videos don't get in the organic algorithm and they don't go that far. Because if you make a good YouTube video and it gets in the algorithm, like I've had videos that have been like number 1 or 2 for like 2 years. So the investment in that video can go a long way. However, YouTube ads can be a very useful tool. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on them and they're really hard to do well. But if you do them well, it can be a great tool for any business. But I wouldn't use your organic focused videos. I wouldn't just run ads on those videos to promote the videos, if that makes sense. Like if you're going to run a YouTube ad to a funnel. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's a whole other world.
No worries. What are your current offerings to agents?
So there's 2 at the moment, and one I'm not going to say too much about right now, potentially coming. So right now we have our community. So you can go to app.agentlaunch.com. We actually have an app in the App Store that you can download. And that is our courses and community. So we teach YouTube. I actually redid the YouTube course just a few months ago, so it's pretty fresh, where I talk about everything we talked about today in a lot greater detail. We teach Google Ads, we teach systems, we teach sales. So we're aiming to solve that first set of problems for most agents to generate and convert leads and leverage video. We have a very active Q&A. So we have, I think, 700 agents in the community. It's only $36 a month, so pretty much anyone can afford it. It's designed to be for everyone. And then we have our other offer, which is called Omni, which is where we essentially do all that for you. So we build Google Ads, Facebook ads, the systems. We help you with your videos. We have a weekly coaching calendar. We even do like what we call our digital authority assessment with clients, which is where we take them through this process in the beginning where we clean up their whole online presence by looking for holes in their social media. So our team will go through, do some homework on our clients. We'll go through and we'll look at all your socials that you're using. And we'll basically find gaps and we'll aim to fill them and then help them have some processes around collecting more reviews. Because I think the thing I like to say about reviews is think about the last time you bought an Amazon product and how many reviews you looked at before you bought it. Now think about how many reviews people are going to look at before they use an agent to buy the most expensive thing they're ever going to buy. So I think a lot of clients we work with, like we have some that have 400 reviews on Google, 250 reviews on Google. And it's like when people see that, like their shoulders go down a bit. They're like, okay, these people are legit. And so that's part of that process too, is helping them just, here's one thing I'll say. When you're generating online leads, these people don't know you yet. So it's your job to make them know you, know, like, and trust you. In the past, what would happen is I would have some clients who would be like, yeah, I'm calling these leads, I'm having good conversations, and then they stop picking up their phone or they just start ignoring me. And I had this happen as a new agent. I remember this because it hurt. Took someone out for showings, like, and then they're like, why isn't she answering? And like Yash and I were talking to each other and we're like, I don't know. She looked us up. She didn't like what she saw. And it took me a long time to realize that. But a lot of the time, people will look you up, and if they don't like what they see, they'll write you off and they'll go looking elsewhere. And it's a very real reality. You never know how much business you're losing by not having your online presence clean and tidy and organized. So we help people with that too.
Wow. Because you were saying you were coaching agents. This seems like it's a online kind of self-paced program. And the Omni is they're working with coaches that you've hired to work one-on-one. Is that what I'm understanding?
So Omni is so it's actually a blend. This is one of the things that makes us unique is it's a blend of a coaching program and a done-for-you marketing agency service. So we build the ads, we build the landing pages, we optimize the ads, we have a feedback loop to find out where are you getting the best leads, what do we want to optimize around. We build out their CRM system for them. We teach them how it all works. We do the digital authority assessment, and then we get them into our weekly coaching calls. So there's 2 calls we run. One is on pure video strategy, so BombBomb videos, YouTube, leveraging that in the sales process. The other is run by me and 2 of our best clients, Riley Nichols in Calgary. At one point, they were the fastest growing team in Canada last year. And then Linnea Carver in Washington. She's the one who uses YouTube and Instagram well together. And they both do well over 1 million GCI. And so that call is called conversion systems. So those rotate. And they're both really focused on business building, systemizing your business, your operations, selling more, asking the right questions, growing your team, and then purely video strategy. So we actually watch our clients' YouTube videos and we give them feedback. So that's a fun call because we call it watch party because we're just watching videos and giving feedback and helping people grow on YouTube and by using BombBomb.
And with your $36 program, why would someone decide to pay that per month when they can just Google, for tips and advice?
It's a really good question. Because if you look at our Google course, I think it's like 38 modules, and it's very step-by-step. And we give you all the resources you need. We take you through it step-by-step. And then Axel, our director of advertising, is very active in our community, answering all the questions to help people overcome those bottlenecks, which is really important. So you can get feedback. So one big thing about our core offer Omni is we're in the business of building assets that agents own and control, which is very different than most agencies. So we're not a black box. We're fully transparent. Everyone can see inside the ad accounts, see what we're doing. And at the end of our 6-month program, which is what this is, we hand over the ownership of that to them. so they can self-manage. So that's when it would make sense to jump in our community, and we can support you in managing all of your advertising in-house so you don't have that carrying cost long-term. Because most companies, total black box, can't see what's going on. As soon as you stop paying them, the tap gets shut off and you're not in a position of power and control. So I built this business with the mindset of like, what would I want as an agent? And that's kind of where that came from.
Mm-hmm. How much is the Omni program?
So $36 a month for the community. Omni, we have a couple of price points, but yeah, it's generally like $5K and then $12.99 a month for 6 months. And then you own everything. So about a 10, 11K investment over 6 months. And then you don't have that carrying cost thereafter. So we're more in the like white glove service side of things on that end. It's like a very involved program. We also have another offer that I didn't really talk about called Leads, which is kind of like a simplified version of that, which is a bit cheaper. It's like $7.49 a month. And that includes just the Google side of things and the CRM system. And you get access to the coaching calls the day after. So that's more for people who are, starting out and wanting it done for them. Omni's kind of like the full meal deal. If people are really serious and they want to expedite the process and grow, that's what Omni's for.
So from Nightingale to Avenue, did you have any tech background before that?
Not really. Like I learned a lot at Avenue. I was fortunate. Shout out to Becky and Chris and the people I worked with there to learn from some really awesome people about marketing. So I'd say I learned most of it there. And then I also learned a lot from Yashu, my former business partner. Him and I are still really close. He actually has a really cool X about Tesla. And Elon Musk like replies to him pretty often these days, which is pretty cool. But I learned a lot from Yashu because he was in the online marketing space before Avenue. And I learned a lot from him. And we took some courses together on how to build and run courses. So while we were at Avenue, not really while we were at Avenue, we were studying to be agents. And then while we were agents, we were like studying these course creators and how to launch and scale a course. And we were pretty successful. I think we did like 600 or 700K in sales on that course. And that just grew into an agency. And so I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Avenue, and I learned a lot from self-study. So it was kind of a bit of a mix. And from doing, honestly. Learned a lot from just doing it a lot as well.
Yeah.
You guys should definitely talk later about the coaching.
Yeah, just trying to, well, we'll talk that offline.
Yeah.
So much valuable information you've shared with us. I wish we could talk every day. I feel like I just got a little glimpse of what YouTube is all about. So we usually round out with 5 rapid fire questions, and we know that it's really late where you're at. So we're just going to ask you these quick questions and we can let you go.
It's 11 p.m. on a Friday here in Lisbon.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? That in Europe, it's when the party's
early.
got,
It's early.
For
you going out after?
They start at like 1 a.m. here. Probably not. I think
especially as Lisbon.
My filming block is tomorrow morning, so I'll be doing that.
What are 3 words you would best describe yourself?
Adventurous, honest, excited.
Favorite thing to do in Portugal?
Eat.
Can you reveal any behind the scene quirks or rituals when you first started? You probably don't do it now. Right now you just probably hit play or record before hitting the record button on your camera.
I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, but you're talking about when I started. No, I didn't have any rituals. No.
What's the most memorable or amusing moment that you had while filming a real estate video?
Probably just getting mad at myself for screwing it up so often. And I know my editors can see this, but I'm like, Eric. And I'm like getting angry at myself, and then I pull it together and get it done. But that happens pretty often.
Okay.
So it's okay to make mistakes.
You can always record on top of it. So, and it can always be edited out.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you?
YouTube.
All right. What's your YouTube channel?
Just Eric Preston.
Hey,
all right.
Eric Preston with 30.2K subscribers, 301 videos. All right, Eric, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, if you are looking to up your game and elevate your YouTube exposure, check out Eric Preston on his YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Eric.